So welcome to the eardrops class. The first thing I'm going to do is go through what's in your kit and what you need to supply. And the things in your kit will be if you purchase the kit. So here's an example of the things we're going to be making. Pan out here a little bit and move this collection over. And this is what's going to be in your kit. You will have all these wonderful little, wonderful fun findings, polymer clay, heishi beads. You will have these adorable little cut out polymer clay shapes, and we'll have those for sale on my websites, along with the molds while they last. While I have the molds to make those, I will have those for sale. But when the molds are gone, then you'll just have to purchase them pre-made. Anyhow, then various head pins to make our wire wraps. I may be saying in the video that I'm putting ones in there pre-done for you, but that's not going to happen because I find out when you will learn how to make them. They're very easy. You need to make them for each piece as you go along. Because pre-making them, you might have the wrong size. So you're going to learn how to make these wonderful little unique ear wires that make these type of earrings possible. And then you have ear nuts and some tiny beads to use in the flowers if you choose to use them, so that you'll have enough in this set to make quite a few earrings if you want to. And then you'll have the templates. You'll have 3 sheets of templates. And this makes quite a few. And in this class, it's a little bit more unique than some of my other classes because you're cutting your shrink plastic out yourself and designing as you go. But you will have the flowers will be pre-cut for you. So, you'll be cutting these out. And then you're going to have 2 sheets of frosted, 2 sheets of black, and 1 sheet of gold. So that's going to be your kit, and it'll make a lot. Oh, and then some E6000. You'll have that in your kit too. So now we're going to go through what you need. If you want to make the flowers on the ends of these, if you want to, you will want the white domed Shrinkets mold. You will need a heat gun to heat everything. You will need a bowl of some sort. If you don't have my hand forming bowl, you will need a bowl and some kind of block to help you lay things flat. A book will work, a wooden bowl, a wooden box, a cardboard small box, something small to contain the heat. In a pinch, a glass bowl can work. Things don't blow all around when we're heating flat shapes. But I do sell this hand forming kit on my site with gloves, block, and the bowl, which is silicone and really nice for shrink plastic, and I use it all the time. So then we're going to go on to, you have to have a hole punch. Your beads aren't punched. You're going to be hand cutting those out, and you're going to be deciding where you want the wire hole as you design. I mean, you may want it down here or up here. So this is the 1/8 inch hole punch standard. I always have this on stock on my site. The one that I don't have is often stocked on my site because it sells out, and I don't carry that many of them, is the classic, like paper, for office supply, 1/4 inch. But the unique thing about the McGill McGill punches is their long reach. This is 2 inches, so that's really nice in shrink plastic. So this is an optional. I'm going to show you how to use it, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. You have to have this one. Then a pair of scissors to cut the shrink plastic out. These are called Pro Shears, and I will have that exact name and a link to Amazon in this, where I get these. You'll know them by the red and white handle, and these are super for cutting out shrink plastic. But you need scissors. If you don't have these, use the scissors you do have. Then the pliers you need. This is for making our little wire wraps for our flowers. And then the wide nose. You have to have a pair of wide nose pliers to make these wraps. And then wire cutters. This is for wire wrapping. Also, the option I'm gonna show you how to make these wonderful little things using the round nose pliers. But if you have bail making pair pliers, that's really nice too. So a marker to mark your the sizes of your beads, your wires, and a colored pencil, not a colored pencil, yes, a colored pencil, a white colored pencil, Prismacolor. I'm using a Holbein. If you happen to have a white Stabilo all pencil that marks on paper, glass, plastic, and metal, and just water soluble, these are really nice colored pencils. White, we're going to be using that on the black, and a pencil. And then we are going to be using the Poscas on this. All right. So these are the Posca markers, and they are kind of what gives this piece some really fun looks. The depth of this is in the paint lines. So we're going to be using the Posca markers on this. If you don't have the Poscas, that's okay. You can use colored pencils to create these lines. You'll still get a nice bead, but I'm going to be showing you how fun the Poscas are. And then I forgot one thing that's in your kit is your pastel palette. This is a great little pastel palette. It's eyeshadow, and it does prone to when it travels. It doesn't like to travel, so I'm showing you how to repair it. If some of the eyeshadow, the yellow and the orange, these 3 colors like to break apart, and I'm going to show you if they break apart in here, how to use some alcohol and pour them onto paper and pour it back in there and repair it. So you can use it as a pastel. So I think I did go through that you need your heat gun. So I think I went through everything. Oh, one other thing. If you decide you don't want a long tail on this, and I left them all long on the back, if you want to cut that down, then you're going to have a sharp edge on this, and you'll want to file it down with a jewelry file or burnish it with steel wool. But I kept them all long tails, and then an ear nut, and you'll have ear nuts. So that's something that you can think about. If you don't go out and buy one, just keep them long, unless you have one and you want to cut them short. So, okay, we're ready to start. Thanks. The next thing we're going to do is cut out our shapes. You don't have to cut all of them out, or you can. I have my master pieces over here. These are the cutouts that I use to make the template. I've got them all here. And if you wanted to do that, you could cut them out and put them in a template, in a envelope, and save them for later. Or just store them this way and make copies if you have a copy machine of these, so that you have these always handy, or scan them in. So basically all you do is just cut out. I find it easier to cut these out rather than trace because we're going to be using the black shrink plastic and you can't see through the black. So that's how you cut them out. And I did not tell you where to cut the holes because this may be the top of your bead or this may be the top of your bead. So I'm going to start here, and I've pre-selected some for the class. And here's a scrap of black that I have, and you need a white colored pencil for the to trace the black. And these are earrings. So I'm gonna cut 2 of these. And colored pencil brands I like is Prisma, and this is a Holbein, which is a really high-end colored pencil. It's double the price of a Prisma. Both are nice. The Holbein is nice because its pigment is so intense and it's so creamy. Another nice colored pencil on black is the Stabilo All. And this will mark on paper, glass, plastic, and metal, and it's water soluble, and it's one of my, I just use the Stabilo Alls all the time. They're great for mixed media too. So I've got 2 of these, and I'm just gonna cut them out because I'm gonna be designing as I go along. Because these shapes are about you designing your earrings with the layers that you like. Okay, so a little tip. I love these Pro Shears. I get these on Amazon, and you can tell by the red and white handle. And when I cut shrink plastic, I cut at an angle with the scissors. I don't cut straight down. I cut at an angle that allows me, it allows for less breakage of the shrink plastic. And then I'm going inside my drawing line. And I know on these that I want the I want my holes for my ear wires to be there. So I'm at the top, and I'm punching holes in these for that. So next, I'm going to do these 2, and I'm going to do this one using the gold. And now I can switch over to a pencil. I'm not going to be using the gold in an elegant way. I'm going to be using it with coloring the gold with pastels, which will give it a shimmer. So once again, I've got that angle going. And if you're not really good with cutting, that's okay. The whimsy of your cutting lines will add to the flavor of this design. I'm going to punch holes here and here, and I might, because I know that, round this corner out. And the reason this is designed this way with 2 ends is you may have decided you wanted it that way. So you can edit these pieces as you go. Okay, and next I'm going to cut this irregular circle out of Let's see if I have a scrap here. That scrap is great. Cut 2 of these. And this will shrink down 50%. So this earring will be this size, and this will be, the circle will be about an inch. So these are big statement earrings. But if you don't want them as big, or if you want them bigger, take your copy machine and blow them up and down. Now, there's another fun thing. I'm showing you this because this is the scrap of shrink plastic. And with this, I could create little pieces here. And use some of my scraps on these earrings. I'm gonna taper that a little bit, taper that a little bit. I might not use these, but, and notice they're not totally matched. I want to taper that a little bit more. They're not totally perfect as far as how they look. I can always lay them on top of each other. Take care of that. So that would be a way to add to your scraps. Now, I want my little circle to be up a little bit above here. I mean, a little drop down, not right up at the edge. And notice the whimsical imperfections of that. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to design another one. This one I'm going to be doing all with the frosted. And once again, if you had your little scraps, you know, this wasn't enough to make a flower bead, but it was some scrap you had of shrink plastic. You could take these little skinny shapes or create your own skinny shapes to make earrings. So I'm just gonna cut one of these out just to remind you again, angled scissors. And then I'll cut the rest of these out. I'm going to be cutting this unique shape, and I wanted to show you how I was going to do it. Angled scissors on the perimeter. I will have a link in the video where you can, about these scissors. I get them on Amazon. So when I'm doing this, I come up around here, right? And I keep that at an angle, and I turn it. And that's how I cut shapes like that. So I have the rest of my shapes cut, and I'm going to go through my designs with you and talk about choices. These two shapes I'm going to use, and I'm not going to make them, I'm going to make them what I call fraternal twins. So I'm going to punch a hole here and a hole here and a hole here and a hole here. Remember when you're designing these that you'll have other elements to place on them. So I kind of keep it 2 or 3 layers of shrink plastic. But I did show you how to make a really wide earring. I can't find it right now. This portion where we went really wide with it, if you want to stack more than 3. With the width that I'm showing you on these, that's about 3 plus some O-rings on it. So, and then if we have any pencil lines, we can erase those off. Whoops, I didn't get that punched. And then over here, let's talk about this one here. So got that done. This one here is going to be a very large earring. And if I wanted, so that earring, the base of it, like if I shrink this in half, that's going to be about this big. So that's going to be a really long dangle. Now, if you don't want it that big, you would cut off here. So I'm going to show you how that can be done. Some people like large, some people don't. So let's go with our designs and just cut that down shorter. I got that a little crooked, so I've got to pay attention. Going shorter and shorter. Okay. Now, I'm looking at this, and I want to go just a little shorter on this. I don't want them all at the same level at the bottom. I want them to have a tiered effect. So I've got that, and I've got that, and I've made this nice and large for you to play with, but I'm also gonna cut off some off of that. This is where you play a bit. Okay, that seems to be about the length I want to play with that. And then my holes are all gonna be up here at the tops in my design. A lot of my classes, I'm very clear-cut in design choices and make it really easy for you. And on this one here, it's more of you get to do the designing, just eyeballing that. Okay, so there are random flowers, and then let's talk about this one here. I'm gonna move this guy over here. I've got the golds on those. And we showed you how to cut these guys, and these could have gone this way or they could go this way. Well, I'm gonna have them go this way. Because I like how that point comes down through there. And I've already cut these that are little scraps. I may not use them. And then over here, let's get some of these pencil marks off. Instead of my circle going this way, I'm going to have it go this way. Rise up just a little bit. And once again, I mismatched on that one where I called those fraternal twins. You can do that with any of these. I think I missed a couple of these over here. And that gives us enough to start. And so in the next steps, we'll be doing the pastels and we'll be doing the coloring. Now, if you do not have Posca markers, these paint markers, you can do this with colored pencils too. The nice thing about the Poscas is we can use these on the shiny side. So we'll be getting this wonderful depth, and this is an opportunity to show you how the Poscas work, and they work really nice on the black. So I also wanted to do one more thing with black. Look, I've got some scraps right here. Wow, perfect. Let's just cut oops. Clean these up. Don't know where or if I'll use them, but there they are. Scraps, that's how you use scraps. Some of these would be really tiny, but they're a way to use scraps. Okay, I'm gonna be doing color next. First set of earrings I'm gonna do are these, and going to erase, and then I'm gonna show you something else that's fun. Let's get my pencil out here. I'm gonna mark a hole here, a hole here, a hole here, and I'm going to take my big punch. Now, if you do not have this punch, that's okay. Don't have to do this. Just showing you lots of fun options with these guys. Let's get these cleaned up. And I'm not going to be using the same eyeshadows you are. I have this one opened. I'm saving those for you guys. They have more colors, but I'm using this set. It's bigger, but you have a lot more colors in these to pick from. So just use my fingers. I am going to do an ombre effect with this. And I have a bowl over here with a wet rag in it, or if you have wet ones, that's nice because I'm going to be constantly wiping my fingers. Now I'm going to go over to the pink. I'm going to show you some bright colored ones, and then I'm going to show you some more just not muted, but classic color ranges. Okay, wipe my hands down, set that aside. Lots of clean scrap paper. Go in here with the green. And I'm doing ombre effects, and we are on the sanded side. Pastels won't adhere to the shiny side, so you'll quickly figure it out. There we go. Wipe my hands down. Then I'm going to go in sanded side with this wonderful periwinkle blue. I mean, if you have wonderful makeup applicators to put your put your pastels on, that's great. I tend to just like to get in there with my fingers. Just really burnish it in. If you don't want to use the eyeshadows, you can use your own pastels. So let's flip this down. And I'm always going to get my scraps out of here, so, my scrap paper out of the way so I don't make a mess. Now let's come in with the Poscas. And the Poscas I'm going to be doing on the shiny side. That's what I love about using the Poscas. So come in with this orange. I'm going to shake it up. And these are going to be about loose, whimsical lines. Make sure I don't have a pool. Make sure I've got my nice line going. And I'm just going to do whimsical lines on this. And I'm not asking for perfection. I want this whimsy to come through. That's what this is about. And we have to let that dry. So I'm going to come in with the aqua. I'm on the shiny side. And you can do this on the frosted side too. We're just going for this depth. Okay. I got a happy dog. My dog's a bird killer. Tiny little dog. He's killed 6 baby birds this last spring. 6. It breaks my heart. He brings them to me. Just breaks my heart. She's just trying to tell me I know how to bring in the bacon too. So I used that same color. I'm going to use this same color, and I didn't test. That was kind of risky. Okay, I'm going to use this same color, and you're going to see how different it looks on these when they're shrunk down. I'm just doing a wiggle shriggle pattern. Shriggles. All right? That's that. And I'm going to be setting these guys aside to dry. Now, set aside to dry. They're drying pretty fast. And we will go on to the next one. I'm going to use my Holbein on this. You can use a Prismacolor or your Stabilo. The Stabilos would be really intense. The Holbein will be just fine. It'll be wonderfully intense too. And I'm doing random squiggles, and I'm making these little and really big random polka dots, and I'm making some run off the picture plane. Okay, running off the picture plane is okay. Okay, there. Now this is going to be fun. I'm going to take the green on the frosted side of the gold, mix it in with some of the yellow, wipe my hands down, and then come in here with these guys, and I'm gonna add something to this. this is something this is up to you, because you may only have the one hole punch. And if you just have the one, this is fine. But I'm going to be using them both on this. I'm going to show you. Randomly picking where I'm making Swiss cheese out of this. Then I'm coming in here with the smaller one. If I think it needs a few extra ones, other than where I marked. I think it needs one right there. There. You don't have to do that. It's fun though. So I'm going to be doing pink on these guys. In the summer, I wear a lot of bright colors, so I like to make things that go with my wardrobe. Make these to go with your wardrobe. Gonna flip this over. Test, test, and then we will be setting these also aside to dry and going on to our next one. So let's come in here with some pinks and purples on this gold. There, that's lovely. Ombre effect. Wipe my hands off. My hands off and come in here with a bit of blue up here, just a bit of blue. Don't go into this with wet hands. More of the purple in here. These are for you lovers of purple. And let's see. Purple and orange are wonderful together. So we're going to come down here with purple. And this, with orange, and this sounds, we're going to put some green on this. Okay. And then we've got these two little scraps that we're going to play in. And what color do I want to make these guys? They're going to be over the top of that. I'm not going to do anything with them. I'm just going to wipe off anything that got them, and we're going to color them and let them be clear. And it seemed I had another set. Oh, I do. I have another set to play with. So this isn't our last one. So we're going to flip these guys over. And I'm going to come in here with this odd green. I don't know. I wish there was an olive, but there isn't. Never used this mint green. Being mindful that these are pears. I don't like that. Get that off before it dries. There. And see what this color is. I've never used it before. Like a Naples yellow. It really shook up. Oh dear. Okay, on these, this is the gold, so I'm not going to do anything with this, and it hangs out like so. And on these little guys, I'm going to come back in with, they'll be over the top of this. So let's come in on the frosted side of this, just showing you that you can get this depth on there. And let that dry for a minute. Oh God, can I save that? I can save it, yay. And then I touched that. Well, remember, this was just a scrap. I can try to scrape it off with my fingernail. Okay, so. Shiny side. Okay. Just bound and determined to mess those up. Get my fingers all over them. I didn't know. I felt like it was all thumbs on that one. Okay, on to the next one. So we're on to our last one, and we're going to use the aqua. Go up into the greens on this. Put a hint of blue down here. These are the ones that are gonna be, what did I call them? Fraternal twins, okay? We're on the frosted side here, and I want to, there's some evening out I want to do here, and make sure that the pencil mark is all off of this. And I'm just going to keep this in a nice family of color. Frosted side. And on these, I'm going to I'm going to do this on both sides, but with different colors. There, I'm flipping over to the shiny side. There. Really abstract. And then I'm coming in here with white. Flipping this over, I'm on the shiny side. And I feel, I've discovered you can wipe this off really quickly. if you get a blob. And it's very easy to get a blob on the shiny. There. Then this is something that we might want to use, and I've got to decide what color I want to bring in here. So I'm going to do this. Once again, my dots that are random in size. So this one was all keeping in a kind of the same color family. All right, we will be ready to shrink. Now we're just gonna color our flowers and do them so that they can go with any of the ones that we want them to. So I'm gonna do one in purples on the frosted side. Doing an ombre. I think I didn't get enough ombre on that. Whoops. I'm going to wipe some of that off with the cloth because I touched it with some yellow. So that's what's nice about having your rag there. Once again, this is optional. If you don't have the 1/4 inch punch. So this was in blues. The other one I'm going to do in warm tones so that I have options. Oops. Shiny side. And I'm not going to put any Poscas on these because I just want the shapes to be where the eye goes. Okay. Here's the next one I'm gonna do. Gonna clean this up a bit. And I'm going to do this in a little bit more of a sophisticated, well, a softer palette. I don't know if it's going to be sophisticated, but it's going to be for those that maybe prefer less bright colors. So let's come in with a soft blue here on these guys. Soft blue. We're going to have the black background on this. And come into periwinkle on this. Turquoise down here. Soft blue in here. Soft blue in here. And on these, wipe my hands. I'm gonna go in for a rusty color. Now this will go dark. Come on up with the orange. Come on down here with some burgundy. There. Our colors will be like so. And let's come in here and look at our Poscas. We've got orchid and we've got the blue that we could use. Let's see what other colors. We have a red, and I tend to be a little conservative with using red because I find that red can easily go to baked ketchup with shrink plastic. So what I'm going to do is come in with this periwinkle blue. I don't think I shook that up enough. And I'm doing this on the frosted side. I'm going to show you something fun. Okay, we did that on the frosted side. I'm going to let that dry. And then trying to make my choices here. Come in here with this peach. Oops. See where this here happened? A big drop? I'll just make that part of the design. I'm on my frosted side. On these, I'm going to do okay. I'm going to take a little Q-tip. And absorb that up. Let those dry. Whoops, I smeared. Let's get that cleaned up. There. Poscas do dry pretty fast. These are dry. So let's come in shake this up a little bit more. These aren't going to be neon-y colors. We're on the shiny side. So our little check pattern will have a layered effect. Now we got to decide what we want to do with this, and I think that I'm going to come in with a colored pencil on this for those that aren't going to be using the Poscas, and you can see what colored pencils look like. This is the Holbein. But you can use your Prismas on this. And this is a muted down gold because I want, notice how I'm running off the edge and making my circles random sizes. That's not showing up the way I want it to. So I'm coming in here with the white. Don't know why it wasn't. There. Okay, we're going to let that dry, and we're going to be going into our last design in our flowers. I'm ready to shrink, and I've got my hand forming bowl. If you don't have this hand forming bowl that I sell on my site, which is the perfect size, and it's silicone, so it is like the molds. It doesn't, it really takes heat well, but you can use like a wooden or a cardboard bowl, a wooden box or cardboard box that's small. You can use glass, but glass heats up, so don't be careful that you don't burn yourself, and the same with metal. But a container for flat shapes is nice, and the reason being that a container works like a convection oven, and it keeps the heat circulating so that our flat beads, and we're doing all this flat except for these flower beads, it keeps flat beads shrinking evenly so we don't get warpage, and that usually is most prevalent when we don't want that, when we're doing round shapes and we really want perfection. In this case, we are doing very whimsical shapes, so it really isn't an issue, but that's what the container's for. It evenly heats the shrink plastic much like the oven does. And then a nice wooden block to lay on things just gently to make them shrink flat. After you've shrunk them down, you put them on the surface and just lay this on there, and then they cool flat. If you don't have a wooden shape or my hand forming bowl, you can use any piece of wood you have around, or a book works just fine. Anything that's nice and flat. Okay, let's get started. So we're about 1 inch away, and we're going to let it shrivel and wiggle and shrink down. Keeping the heat going in a circular motion. And there, it's done, and it's curl a little bit, and it curls because it's got pigment on it, and the pigment makes the shrink plastic not always shrink down flat. Even when it's done shrinking, it will bow, and that's random. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and that's why you need the block. And this is what I want to show you that's so wonderful, is you get the dimension on that. And I also want to point out that when you use the Poscas, you don't want to do overall color. You just want to do lines, because it is paint. And a heat gun has a tendency to want to peel that off. But in little lines, it works well. So let's do another one so that we can see how this is going to work. So just lines on the Poscas. It's line work. That's why I did this line work. So these are going to be fun. Done, but curled a little. So I will let I just know that you just have to learn when it's done shrinking and not overheat it. That's usually when it stopped moving on its own accord, meaning just the wind's moving it, and it's looks like it shrunk down half its size, and it has the nice thickness and a nice crisp edge here, not a molded edge. It's going to be really cute. Now these we didn't do any color on, we just let the frosted shrink plastic be the color it was. When I say the edging, when this edging gets softly rounded and overly shiny, that's when you know you're overheating. It should be still frosted and have a nice crisp edge. There we go with that. Remember, these are little fraternal twins. They're going to be really fun because they swing and move. And then I'm going to go on to a next one. Because this one, but I'm reaching over here. Can't remember if that's how we did that. Let's go ahead with it. I'll only do half of them. You don't need to watch me do all of them. I'll do the other half pair off camera. Now remember, this was, want to show you, it's totally not flattening out. You use this to flatten it out. And this is where we used a combination of the colored pencil and the Posca. And that's really fun. These to me have a feeling like the patterns are reminiscent of me looking at summer fabric designs on clothing. There's a designer that I really like, and I believe she's from Sweden, and her name is Gudrun Schoden, and she does wonderful layered clothing and uses a lot of patterns and colors in her design. And in the summertime, I wear her a lot because her fabrics are really lightweight. And this was, I did this on defrosted, but I want to show you when it cools. This color back here lends itself to a really beautiful rusty color. Along with that, it's just really lovely. A little paint on there. I want to scrape that off while it's still warm. Oh, I said I was going to shrink these off camera, and half of them, and now I got into it and I'm doing it. That's, I love that combination. I'll do this one off camera. Okay, let's do these because these were reaching over the camera, sorry. And I've got some Gudrun Schoten on right now if you're seeing my sleeve. Just half of them. Keep saying I'm going to do half and then I don't. Okay, this is the first of seeing the gold with the eyeshadow on it. Notice how it's curled, and this is going to be really beautiful. And it gives us an iridescent look, which lends a sophisticated palette to the whimsy. It's our tiny piece that we make from scraps. So fun up there. I'll do the rest off camera. I'll pull that up there. Yeah, I don't think you're able to see that well. But just fun colors. And this is why I made this choice here, because I felt this width covered up what I call the lobster claw, where this creates a little peak in the valley. Fun. Okay, only got a couple more to do. This is the one with the holes on it. These I pressed about the count of 5. Just, you'll know if you try to pick them up and they still bend, or they're too hot to touch, then they need to cool a little bit longer. Now on this one here, it looked like they're gonna touch and then fuse together, so I quickly grabbed it. And that one's really curled, so I'm coming in here and I want to make sure it shrunk all the way. Yeah, it did. It's got a little white on it. There. One 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. I should be counting. So that's that little shape. That's fun colors going on. Let's do our little circle. One 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. That can go there. It can go there. It can go there. That'll be some layering fun. I will do those later off camera. And then flip it off, and this you'll get to see the colored pencils being whimsical, really fun. And it allows your inner squiggle to come out. There. A circle. Love these colors on this. And here is our gold shrink plastic with our Swiss cheese cutouts. Delightful. That could go this way too. Okay, now we're going to do some flowers. I'm going to do these in the dome mold, and I'm going to do shiny side down. If I do shiny side down, I will have shiny on the top of my bead. You will see in a minute. And it doesn't mean that both of them have to be shiny side down, because this is a very whimsical project. So one earring could have frosted and one could have shiny. It's up to you. And I don't know where I'm going to use these, but they will be fun to use if I want to use these as a drop hanging down from one of these. Oops, I picked that up too soon. It cooled. I need to, oh no, I was able to get it. We're going to do these also shiny. I'm going to use this end of it. Oops, I guess I'm going to have fraternal twins, because I put shiny where I'm looking at it, not down in the mold. So I'll have a frosted one and a shiny one. That's going to be kind of fun. All right, I'm going to shrink the rest of my pieces that I didn't shrink, and then I'm going to meet you for assembling. So welcome to the ear drops class. We're ready to start assembling, and I've drawn a diagram here of the lengths that we make these ear wires. So this portion, depending on the amount of dangles that you put on here, is either a 1/2 inch or 7/16. Those are recommended sizes. This one's about a 1/2 inch. Then this portion here is 7/8 or 1 inch, depending on how long you want that shank. Then I'm going to show you one other style, but predominantly we're going to be using this design. Also, on our little pieces, I've pre-glued these little guys on, and let them dry for 10 minutes. But wherever you want to use these guys, you just take a little bit of E6000 and glue it wherever you want it and set it aside to dry. So let's get started with our first design. Looks like a little bead is, there it is right here. Okay, so on this one here, I'm going to use the 7/8, and you can use the marker if you want. So I've marked one, and you can mark two, but you're going to do these in pairs. If you use the marker, it enables you to lift it up. So you can see this, and then come in here and come in here and bend this down, okay? And then the same with this. This is the technique without using the markers. You just hold it there. I mean, you find the position on it. You hold it there, and then these have to be, whoops, not very good. These have to be bent, whoops, and I didn't use the round nose, and I meant to use the round nose, sorry. Round nose right there, and bent down in line with each other. There's also a little bump on that. If you've got a little bump, just straighten it out. Okay. Then when you stack these, you stack them onto the wire backwards. Whoops. Backwards. And that way they're on the front. So here's your wire, and that's backwards. And when it comes around here, it's frontwards. And then I had glued this on previously, so it's nice and dry to assemble. Bring that around. Bring my spacer bead in. Gear spacer bead. And the seed beads are a little harder to get past these forks. So I open them up a little bit and open that up a little bit so that it comes around, and then I'll get that fork back in, knowing that my wire has a memory. And hopefully that stays, the little black seed bead won't move on that. Okay, now if you just line this up, if you want your tail, in the back of your earring to come away from the back side of this, just trying to keep on the picture plane, just torque, roll it that way, okay? On to our next one. Doing two side by side. Coming in here, lining up. Didn't mark. Bending this. So it has a little, and then I got a little, remember what I told you about this? You can straighten it out by doing so, bending it. There, it recreated that. There we go. And straighten both of them out there. And then this shank, I'm just showing you without marking. We do this with the round nose pliers, bending those down so that they're aligned. if it's wonky, just gently bend it in place. And let's assemble our next one backwards, 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 backwards. Well, these don't matter whether they're backwards or not. Oh, all thumbs. And there we have it. And I can gently hold this and bend this that way. That way my shank doesn't bend. And I can bend this that way. And I've got this sweet design. So here I'm going to show you an alternative loop on this. If you want to use an ear wire, the ear wires aren't in your kits. These happen to be little resin ones. I use these all the time because I'm allergic to anything except solid gold, and these little resin ear wires work well, and they have little gold on them, so I brought out gold ear wires so that you could see that I was matching, but this is not in your kit. I'm just showing you the style. You will be predominantly doing these with the wire wrap that I am showing. I just wanted to give this alternative. So I'm over here on the 7/8, and I take my round nose pliers and I bend over towards, and then I want to make sure that I'm going to bend here, right where these two meet. Okay, and I should have used a square because that gave me that kind of rounded. There we go, I rounded it back up. And then I want to make sure that this is 7/8, and I've just got enough room to make that shank 7/8. So what I'm going to do is take the end of this, and I'm walking around and I'm making a little loop. Okay. I'm walking around and I'm making a little loop. And then, now I've got the loop made. I'm going to open it up just a little bit. Open it up. Wire has a memory, so even if I made the little loop, it'll remember where I'm going with this. Let's pull out our designs and go ahead. Once again, I glued my little rabbit on, and he cured. And so at the beginning of this, I'm going to stack the way I want the design to appear. Putting an O-ring on, putting a gear bead, and if I have to open any of these wires to get these guys on, I will. Putting a gold spacer bead, black spacer bead. Sorry. Now here's where I go the opposite. Got that on. Then, because I'd pre-glued this little rabbit on there with these 6,000, he's dry enough to work with. Getting that on, I'm having to bend that just a little bit, just to give me room to work with. There. Now, I'm going to come over here and squeeze that wire tight. And if yours got a little longer, you clip it off. Mine fits perfectly. So now I'm bringing these guys all around to the front. My little O-ring doesn't want to go around the front, so he doesn't fit in there very well. So I can open that up like that, or if he doesn't fit on there, I can just cut him off rather than redo it. There. And now let me show you how this works. I've got a jump ring on here. I'm going to straighten that back out. And with the wire that I had, I wasn't going to have enough room for all that stack. That was asking a lot to get on there, putting that O-ring on there. If it's a seed bead, you can also crack it off if you just don't, if you're stacking too much stuff on. Now, then in this style, you have you have your ear wire on there, and that enables me to wear these earrings. That's just an alternative. My email is on at the beginning of this, and if you want to know about these resin earrings wires, let me know, because I do not get enough of them in stock to sell them on my site, but if there's enough people interested, I can do that. So I'm just straightening this out. So that's that little design. And you see why I had to add the jump ring, because if I'd put the ear wire, it would have gone this way. And these, the thing about these ear wires, metal ear wires, this little loop opens. On the resin ones, they don't. So that's that style. I'm sorry, while I was describing my email, things got off the picture plane. So once again, there is the little resin ear wire, which you can email me about, and it doesn't have the loop, and then the jump ring makes it lay correctly. So on to the next one, and this one we're going to do a wire wrap. So I'm going to make a selection of beads to go on my wire wrap, adding my Shrinkets bead, and these are the choices I've made. And I'm going to come in here and do a wire wrap. I want a rather small loop. So I'm placing it in the pliers. I'm bringing the wire back behind me and pulling it towards me. Then I grab all this and I roll it. I flip it over. I grab it all and I roll it again. And that way I get this, and then I can squeeze this little neck right here. And then I get this nice little shepherd's hook. Let's put this on the chain, and with your chain, you'll wanna, in your design, figure out where you want these to go. For me, it was right about there, so I cut both my chains to fit in that space right there, to be that length. Is cut your chains evenly and decide that within your design. Now I'm holding the loop, keeping the chain on one side and the seed bead on the other side, and I'm bringing my loop around. Shouldn't have let go. And I'm wrapping around 3 times. Okay, and then I'm clipping my wire and straightening anything out in there. I've got this sweet little loop on there. So now let's go into designing the wire. Take 2 of them and get our 7/8 here. And once again, let's go back to the marker. If you're, just, well, I left the marker cap off, so, well, that made it, they dry out fast. There, I've got the line still on there. Bend down, and then the 7/8. Walk that around, make sure that's all lined up. Bend around. There I go. And then let's stack backwards. Putting the chain on. So that's where I pre-measured my designs when I laid it out. Backwards. 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 And these guys, I keep saying backwards on these little heishi beads, and they don't, spacer beads, and it doesn't matter. Then we're gonna try to get a, always tough with the seed beads, have to open up to let it pass, and then I hold the shank and bend this way so that it doesn't, I think I overbent. Then, if I want this to go out of the way, bend it away. That's a little aggressive too. There we go. Really cute. This is our last one, and many people do wire wraps a different way, so I'm going to showcase a different way on a style of wire wrapping on this one here. We're going to add our beads. Keep rolling around on me. You'll have either a sequin or a little pleather bead to play with in your designs. So this is what I've chosen, how I've chosen to design this. And wires have a natural, they all have a natural, see that natural bow and this natural bow? You really want to wire, you want to wrap in favor of that. I'm going to be wrapping my wire this way, so I want that bow to go that way. So I'm going to place this in the pliers, and I'm coming around like so, and I've pulled this tight. Now, if your hands aren't strong enough, you can be doing this with your pliers. And then I'm just bending that a little bit. And I'm going to place this on my chain. Always remember to put your chain on. And get myself lined up here with the chain up here and the seed bead down here and my wire between those things. Now I'm putting the nose right there of the pliers. I'm coming around and wrapping. There. And clipping that. Okay, and since I've shown you so many times how to make these, I've got these pre-done. Let's go ahead and assemble, working backwards, putting our chain on. Getting my O-ring out here. Cute little assembly. I've got a lot of room on this, and that always assures the more room I have on this shank right here, the more room I have to not have things slide up on this area. So bend this away, and then we come up here and this little collection is done. Really cute. Okay, that's it. You're done. Thanks a lot.